Okay, let's get into this. We have a really fascinating set of sources today, and they all focus on, well, a single line from what has to be the most repetitive Christmas carol out there.
A partridge in a pear tree.
Exactly. And on the surface, it seems like a very strange topic for a deep dive.
It does, a bird and a tree. But the material we're looking at, it shows that this image, which is always gift number one and gets repeated every single day, holds this really foundational importance.
That's the mission today. We're not just listing gifts. We're going to unpack that first one, the partridge, specifically through an esoteric and a Masonic lens.
To see it as a symbol of spiritual kingship and divine unity.
Right, because its placement and repetition aren't random. It's the anchor for the entire song.
It is. And to understand it, we absolutely have to start with the number. The number one.
The monad.
Precisely. In, esoteric numerology and hermetic traditions, the number one is the monad. It's that indivisible origin, the single point from which all multiplicity, all the other 11 gifts comes from.
So it's not just the start of a list. It's the source of everything on the list.
It's pure potential. A single, undifferentiated point of light.
Right.
And if you want to link that to Masonic symbolism, think of the point within a circle.
The center of the lodge.
Exactly. It's that center point from which everything else emanates. It really affirms this idea of unity, of a common origin for all initiates under the grand architect of the universe.
Okay, so a quick clarifying question then. Is the partridge itself the monad, or is it more about its position, the fact that it's the one gift on the first day?
That's a great question. It's both, really, but I'd say it's primarily the singularity of the image. It's the focus of unity. But, and this is key, the partridge itself carries so much symbolic weight that it becomes the perfect archetype to represent that principle.
All right, so let's focus on the bird then. Our sources call it the archetype of mastery. What is it about a partridge that elevates it to that status?
We have to look at its history in allegory, which goes back centuries. In early Christian art, in medieval bestiaries, the partridge was almost always associated with two things: sacrifice and guardianship.
I found that detail from the bestiary so compelling. The idea that the mother partridge would pretend to be injured, to deliberately make herself an easy target, just to draw predators away from her nest, that's a profound level of self-sacrifice.
It is. And that is the crucial link we need to make to the Masonic context. Those traits, guardianship, sacrifice, making yourself vulnerable to protect the group, they align perfectly with the kind of leadership required of a worshipful master in the lodge.
So the master's authority isn't based on, say, rank or power,
Not at all.
but on a willingness to serve and protect the brethren.
Precisely. The worshipful master is a symbolic stand-in for King Solomon, right? Tasked with guiding the lodge with wisdom, strength, and beauty.
And the partridge faking an injury, that's a kind of wisdom. It's wisdom through protection, not dominance.
You've got it. The image of the solitary partridge atop the pear tree suggests what some have called a Christic singularity, a single figure, raised up, visible to everyone,
And not just sitting there, but nurturing what's below.
nurturing the spiritual fruit. And that position, being raised high, is mirrored by the master's station in the east. He presides from there, but, and this is important, he governs by consent, not by command.
Because his actions are visible to everyone, he has to be the example.
He is the example. He's raised up by the virtues he's supposed to embody. He has to be the most visible model of the craft's tenets, just like that bird perched high, setting the standard for everyone else.
That makes perfect sense for the creature, but it's not just flying in the air, it's on a tree, it's stationary. So let's shift to that. What elevates it? The pear tree.
Yes.
The sources talk about this not just as a perch, but as an axis mundi, a world axis.
Right. And that's a concept you find in almost every world mythology. Trees as these huge cosmic structures that connect everything.
Heaven, earth, and the underworld.
Exactly. They're universal metaphors for spiritual growth, for ascent, for divine order. I mean, think of Yggdrasil in Norse mythology or the Tree of Life in Kabbalah.
Or the trees in Genesis.
For sure. They're everywhere.
But the song is specific. It's not just any tree. Why a pear tree? What does the pear itself add to this whole structure?
Well, the pear tree specifically brings in the idea of nourishment and fruitfulness. The elevation isn't barren, it's productive. The sources point out that in some Eastern traditions, the pear is linked to immortality, to renewal.
And in the Christian allegory.
The fruit symbolizes spiritual sustenance, regeneration. So you have this image of the partridge, the guiding principle, enthroned upon a living axis of divine wisdom. but it's an axis that actually produces something. It provides nourishment for others.
That's a beautiful image. It suggests that the master or the guiding principle has to rest on a foundation of work that yields real, tangible benefits for everyone else.
It does. And that vertical ascent, that living axis, it recalls all the ways one moves toward light in the craft.
Like Jacob's ladder.
Or, even more directly, the winding stair.
Of course. The winding staircase leading to the middle chamber. It's a physical journey that represents an intellectual and spiritual progression.
Exactly. It's rooted on the ground, but it leads you up to a place of wages, of intellectual light. So if you think of the tree as the spiritual lodge itself,
Rooted in the earthly, but reaching for the divine.
then the partridge at the very top is the guiding consciousness. It's the principle of order, intelligence, and virtue that sits at the highest point. It's the goal of the ascent.
It's the goal, but it's also where we started. Which brings us back to the monad, back to unity and the initiate's journey.
Every journey has to start with one.
And the initiation ceremony is a perfect allegory for this. Every candidate comes in as a single seeker.
Divested of all their worldly status, placed in darkness, and just seeking light. They're led by the hand. They're vulnerable, solitary.
It's probably the most alone you can feel while being surrounded by people. You are completely dependent on others for guidance.
And that's the experience of the monad beginning its journey into multiplicity. The partridge stands alone on day one, and the initiate begins their Masonic journey alone. All they have is that divine spark inside, and they have to trust the partridge in the tree, the elevated master, to guide them.
This really elevates the master's role beyond just, running a meeting. He's the symbolic sun in the east. He's the one who brings order from the chaos of that initial singular experience.
He's tapping into one of the oldest archetypes of human organization. In ancient traditions, the king or the chieftain wasn't just a ruler. He was seen as the axis of the whole tribe.
A conduit between the gods and the people.
Yes, a mediator between the divine ideals and the practical needs of the community. The worshipful master mirrors that. He channels the transcendent truths of the craft down to the practical work of the brethren.
So he's drawing that divine light down while also making sure the work at the lodge is, elevated up toward the sacred.
Exactly. And his power is central because the monad has to be central. But, and this is so important, it's a power that's balanced by his wardens and by the entire body of the brethren. It's an ordered unity, not a tyrannical one.
Which brings us to the real takeaway here, I think. The idea of the hidden gift. We start with a simple bird on a simple tree, and after this dive, we see this image of, sublime depth.
Unity, spiritual kingship, elevation, fruitfulness, divine order. It's all there.
It's basically an emblem for the great work.
It is. Freemasonry is constantly teaching you to find these hidden gifts in what seem like mundane things. The working tools, the tracing boards, they all have these deep, multi-layered meanings just waiting for a dedicated seeker to unveil them.
And the repetition, the fact that the partridge is there every single day in the carol, that can't be an accident. It just hammers home how foundational it is.
The repetition is the constant echo of the one behind the many. No matter how complex the list gets, 7 swans, 12 drummers, you are always brought back to that center point.
Just like the grand architect is always present, in every degree, in every teaching.
The partridge is the alpha and the omega of this whole Christmas allegory. It reminds you that the light you seek in Masonry is both the first gift you receive and the final reward you're striving for.
That synthesis, that the beginning and the end are in the same symbol, that's the real power here. So as we finish up, what's the core connection you think we should all hold on to?
At the end of the day, the partridge in a pear tree is a potent symbol of unity, both inner and external. It's a constant reminder that all our spiritual striving has a common, singular center.
It's an image of what inner mastery looks like.
That's a perfect way to put it. A soul that is deeply rooted in virtue, that's the tree, and at the same time is crowned with awareness and a sense of self-sacrificing leadership. That's the partridge.
It really invites a level of self-reflection that goes way beyond just a simple Christmas carol. The sources basically challenge you to meditate on your own station in life.
The real question this ancient image asks you is this: do you embody the traits of that symbol? Are you the partridge?
Is your own life fruitful like the pear tree? Is it offering any kind of spiritual nourishment to the people around you? And maybe more importantly, do you govern your own inner lodge, your temper, your actions, with that same light and justice?
The ultimate goal, hidden in this carol, seems to be to embody the ritual itself, to become the partridge in the tree, perpetually perched on that axis of sacred understanding.